Wrokdown, Wrokdown, down memory lane. Wrokdown, Wrokdown, see those guys again. Wrokdown.
Hi, welcome to Wrokdown. I'm Wendy Stapleton. The music industry in the early 60s was a mostly male-dominated field. So the young Marcie Jones had to have a lot of spunk, ambition and confidence to not only be noticed at that time, but to go on to become one of our most successful survivors. Well, she's not only surviving, she's thriving. I've never met anyone as busy as you, Marcie. How are you?
Hi,
Thanks for coming in.
How are you?
Really well, and you?
Gorgeous thing, you.
How's the country
Oh,
air?
good, yes.
Is this why you're so prolific?
Well, I think for me, when I turned 50, I really wanted to do an album of women's songs, women-orientated songs, and I couldn't find anything. I wanted to do originals, and my old friend Olivia Newton-John, just recently married, Mrs. Eastley, very happy. I wanted her to write me something because I thought, well, she's a writer. I thought I couldn't write anything. And she said to me, if I can write, you can write. So I sat down that day and I started to write my very first songs. And now I'm 63.
You started writing at 50, isn't it great?
Yeah, now I'm 63 and I've been writing. Luckily, I've had about 9 or 10 nominations for my own country music songs in the Victorian Country Music Awards. So it's been pretty exciting.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's been great.
So a young baby Marcie, you were born in where was it? Brunswick, Coburg?
Yes, the secret.
The Sacred Heart.
The Sacred Heart.
The Sacred Heart Hospital. The good old Sacred Heart
I
in
was.
Moreland Road.
Yeah, I was. 26th of June, 1945.
So were you from a showbiz family?
My mother actually sang beautifully and she could whistle fantastic. I mean, that's an art. I couldn't whistle to save myself.
No, me neither.
But she's a fantastic, and she played piano. Her mother and father, my grandmother Minnie, played the squeeze box, but all that, you know, all the Celtic stuff. And my grandfather used to fiddle, he used to hold the fiddle down here. Her brothers all played banjos and saxophones, piano. They played it. Yeah.
Musical.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
musical.
Yeah.
How did you start singing professionally?
Well, the funny thing is, I was about 15 and a half, and my girlfriends and I, we all used to go down to Canterbury Ballroom every Saturday night. The Thunderbirds were playing there, and it was a 60-40 dance.
Fantastic.
So we used to go down there. Malcolm Arthur
What does
was
60-40 mean?
Okay, so it was 60% ballroom, 40% rock and roll.
Oh, really? So it was
or
a
maybe around
combo.
the other way. Yeah. That's what they called the 60-40. So they did some ballroom and some rock and roll. They used to do the barn dance and the progressive jive
I like the barn dance.
and the progressive jive and all that. Anyway, we went down this night and all of my girlfriends and all our boyfriends at that time had gone shooting, and I hate anything like that. So we'd all gone down to the dance, and Malcolm Arthur was comparing, and I'd sort of sung around at parties and gone on a couple of talent quests, you know, and things like that. And so the girls all went up and said, our girlfriend sings, could she sing a song, you know, as you do?
Yeah.
And no, but she can't sing tonight because we have to rehearse it. But
Was this the Thunderbirds?
Yes, this was Malcolm Arthur.
And then Harold?
And Harold.
Who was on the show?
He was such a
He
baby.
cracked me up.
He was such a baby.
He cracked me up.
He's the funniest thing. Next time you have him on, you've got to have him do his song he wrote. And I can't think of the name of it. It's gone out of my head. But something about an operation. I can't think of what it is.
Are you sure? We need to hear it?
No. Oh, no. It's funny.
No, I'm joking,
No, it's
yeah.
funny. And of course, Murray, my partner now, was the keyboard player with the Thunderbirds back then. But I didn't get to know him that well back then. That's another story.
That's a story for later on in the show.
Yeah. So anyway, I went down there and they said, come along on Saturday afternoon and audition, which I did. I sang Lipstick on Your Collar and Robot Man and got the job.
Oh, good girl.
So then I started working as part of the Ivan Damon dance circuit.
Right.
So they had a Canterbury Ballroom, Preston Circle,
So
Preston
you were
Town.
away basically once you got into that. That was a solid working.
Oh yes, 3 and 4 nights a week, £4 a night, 10 shillings taken out for tax.
You were loaded.
I was loaded, and I was hairdressing through the day. I was richer then than I am now. That's what I got to keep writing. But so that's what happened. 18 months with the Thunderbirds, and then he moved me to another band and another young singer who was starting out, and that was Norman John Rowe. When I first met Norm, he was about 13 and a half.
Singing.
And I was 15 and a half. He started when he was about 15. So I think by the time I was moved to Preston Circle and to work with this new band that didn't have a name, who became the Playboys, I also worked with the Raiders as well. Do you remember? Oh, you probably don't remember the Raiders. You're too young. But the Raiders were also out there with Johnny Lowe, and they were fantastic. And April Byron was singing there a bit. But she wouldn't turn up for jobs. So the chap who was working...
What do you mean she wouldn't turn up?
Well, she wouldn't turn up. She just didn't turn up. I won't go tonight. And the Circle... So what was happening was John Gray, who worked for Ivan Damon, who ran all his dances down in Melbourne, he would ring me and he'd say, April hasn't turned up, can you come and fill in?
So then, of course, Normie and yourself became pop stars.
Pop stars. Well, how that all came about was DYT Productions, which Dennis Smith was a part of, Horry Duggie and a few other people I can't think right now. But Dennis Smith came along. They were going to do a new television pop show to come up against Bandstand in Sydney. So what they did was, because the dance thing was so huge, because there was a lot of other entrepreneurs that were running dances as well, which a lot of other people worked for, not just Ivan Damon, what they did was they went around, Dennis went around to all the dances and picked the cream out of everywhere, all coffee lounges or Channel 9, I think Pat Carroll came from Channel 9. Olivia, I think they found in a coffee lounge. Some of them were dancers and singers. So
Denise was
well, she was a dancer.
That's right.
So they went around and they found all these people who could sing and dance, and they put them all together for the very first pop show to come out of Melbourne, Channel 10, which was The Go Show. Where I'm lucky is that I worked with so many Australian iconics, legends, and we all
yourself included.
Oh, thanks, Wendy. But it was along with all the girl singers and with everybody, and we did every television show over and over and over and over in every single state. We recorded everywhere, we toured, we worked. I rode that wave with Norm when Norm first made it. I rode that wave with him. The girls hated my guts. They hated me. They used to throw tomatoes and eggs at me. And I have a very warped sense of humour, just as well, or I would have run off crying. I think that's what they wanted me to do, because that just made me all the more, I'll show you. So then I used to throw them back. I used to pick up the fans. It was like a chucking match. This night I had this pale blue organza dress on, brand new, and I'm standing there singing, I don't know, but I was singing something pretty, and all these girls hating my guts and throwing stuff. All the eggs used to hit Trotter's drums at the back, and I got a tomato right there. I thought, right. I scraped off the tomato. I walked to the front of the stage. I saw the girl who threw it, and I took aim, and she copped it, and I got her.
Good
and
girl,
I said,
right in the
now,
mush.
Yeah, and I said, now. I said, I'm not going to get off till I'm finished, because I'm not finished yet. Then you'll never get to see Normie Rowe. And they all shut up. They all shut up.
Sorry, I'm crying already.
But it was get tough or get off.
Absolutely, you had to be pretty tough to survive.
Get tough or
didn't
get
you?
off. And when I became Normie's girlfriend.
I didn't know that.
Oh, didn't you?
No.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. It's all in the book. I've written a book. I'll tell you about that in a minute. It's all in the book. He gets a whole chapter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, tell you all about our sex life.
Does he know he's in the book?
Yes, he's read it. He wrote the foreword for my book.
Oh.
And Olivia. Both of them wrote me a very nice foreword for my book. Yeah, he said to me, you have to tell everybody about our sex life. I said, sex sells, kid.
And having said that, we'll take a break while we think about it.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. My special guest this evening is the amazing Marcie Jones. You were Normie's girlfriend, and of course the world as we knew it, Australia knew all about that because, of course, Normie was one of the hottest young things
he was
around.
Huge.
And
he was
every
huge.
girl in Australia was jealous of you.
Yes, hated me.
Hated you.
So I had a double whammy, not only being difficult for being a girl singer and being noticed, because most of the kids that bought records were girls. So, you know, they weren't going to buy mine, were they? Because they hated my guts. So, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It makes you tougher, makes you learn. And as I was saying to you before when we were having a little break, you know, people come up to me and say, God, I used to hate you. And I just say, oh, join the queue. And they do it nicely now. You know, they do it nicely. We're old ladies, mature ladies.
So basically they're saying, I used to hate you, but
Yeah.
I love you.
And there's probably a few that still really hate my guts, but, you know, I don't care.
Get over it.
I don't care.
Get over it.
Who cares? I don't care.
Not you, them.
Yeah, get over it. I don't care.
Okay, so when did you form the Cookies and why did you form the Cookies?
Well, I didn't actually form the Cookies. The Cookies were already a group, being Margaret, Wendy and Beverly Cook.
Right, and they came out from England, didn't they?
They've come out a couple of times, but when I met the girls, they were working on Brisbane Countdown. So they were doing vocal backing for everybody and singing as the Cookies, singing as a group, the Cookies.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were sort of really well known in Brisbane and doing a lot of work when I went up there and met them.
You toured with Cliff Richard?
Yes.
How did that come about?
We did... the Hoadley's Battle of the Sounds used to be in Melbourne, and the Groove won it. We actually came second, but being a vocal group, they just didn't know what to do with us. They always call us a band, but we're a vocal group. So we decided we would go overseas with the Groove. The Groove had won their trip to England, you know, like that was the big thing. Get on
And
the
that was
ship
Tweed Harris
go,
and...
Pete Williams. We decided we would go over also, but we would do a tour of 3 months of the East to earn money with which to pay for 5 round the world airfares and give us 3 months money to live on in England when we got there. So Norm had gone, I was engaged to Normie at the time. Norm had just spent 12 months at Puckapunyal and he was going to Vietnam. So he went just before Christmas. I was trying to think of 1969. So he went 1968. And we went 6th of January 1969. So we did 3-month tour in the East where we worked all through the East. We sang for the Prince of Malaysia and, anyway, we did 3 months through the East and it's all in the book. And I can't tell you too much because it's all in the book.
It's great.
And then we went on to England where we got our first job and we're so thrilled to get our first job, right? So we get there, it was a Batley Variety Club, and this is actually in the book too, but it's really funny because this is how we came to work with Cliff. We got there and there was another, we were talking about girl singers before and how we all get on really well, and there's, especially in Melbourne, there's no bitchy, we all help each other. So we were used to that sort of thing. So when we get to Batley Variety Club, which is a huge variety club, it's one of the big main clubs, there was 3 other girls there that had worked together as a trio. So we thought, oh, this is great, it's another girl group, and chat. Little did we know, their manager, male, was getting off with the club manager, male, and they were very jealous of the fact that we got standing ovations and we went so well. So the next morning when my agent rings me and says, well, how did it go last night? I very excitedly told him that we had 3 proper standing ovations and they loved us. For him to tell me then that they'd got a phone call to say that we were so bad people were walking out and we'd been paid off.
Be serious.
No. And it was the first political thing that I'd found out about. So we found out what had happened. That's exactly what had happened. But 12 months, or maybe not even that long, 9 months down the track, might have even been 6, I can't think, we were offered to go work with Cliff Richard. He'd heard of us. His management were Australian and knew Gary Spry, our manager at the time. So anyway, that all came together. So we're going on tour with Sir Cliff, who's absolutely gorgeous.
Were you a support act or were you actually doing vocals with him?
We did support act and then the girls went on and did vocal backing for Cliff. So then we go back to work at Batley Variety Club and of course they find out we're coming back with Sir Cliff. Oh, we're not having Marcie and the Cookies back here. We'll cancel Cliff. Cliff said, that's fine. Cancel it. So they said, oh, then they backtrod and realised that wasn't going to happen. So they said, well, then our girls can go on just before Cliff and Marcie and the Cookies can go on before that. And we said, that's fine. Who cares? So we went on, absolutely killed them. They went on, looked like idiots, and then we all went back on with Cliff.
And gave you a nice break in the middle.
Yeah. So they were very foolish. But anyway, that was that political scene in England. But Cliff was fantastic to us. It's all in the book.
I love you. You don't care what you say. You just say it all. So open.
Well, I've been
so honest.
I've been pretty candid in the book.
You're a good girl. We're going to take a short break and be back soon.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. I'm with the mischievous Marcie Jones.
Yes, how are you?
I'm
We're
good.
back.
Now, getting back to something that you said at the beginning of
Yep.
the show, which was you didn't start writing anything
No.
yourself until you were 50.
No, I didn't think I could write a thing.
So this was Olivia Newton-John telling you that you can do this.
She said to me, if I can write, you can. So she actually takes full credit for my songwriting.
And you were away.
Yeah, well, I was away. I get it very quickly, melodies and lyrics, and I write about basically what I see. I wrote a song called Lonely Heroes, which they played at Gallipoli a couple of years ago. 3AW, I think, played it for their morning show, and I sang it with my great mate Denise Drysdale for the 40th anniversary for the Battle of Long Tan.
Yes, in Vietnam.
No, not in Vietnam, just here at the Shrine 2
No, I
years
meant
ago.
the Battle of Long Tan.
Yes.
The big
yes.
battle in Vietnam.
Yes.
Sorry.
And they played that while they were marching, and we sang that while they were marching, which was just wonderful. And then on the way home, Denise said, we really need a song for the kids of Vietnam veterans. So this is the new single, but this is my Uncle Horry on the front.
Oh, look at Uncle Harry, isn't he gorgeous?
Isn't he gorgeous?
And
yeah.
what war was he in? World War II?
He was in World War II.
And he went
Terrible
to.
life.
Did he go to like Borneo? Or?
Oh no, he was one of the Rats of Tobruk. He was in Tobruk.
Oh.
But also, what I have in getting back to my book again, because everything's kind of interrelated. My cousins found a diary. He actually wrote 4 diaries, but my auntie Mavis burnt 3. The little tiny leather diaries. Anyway, they gave it to me, and I was just, because I talk about my family, he was such an integral part of my family and my writing and why I write, I wanted to put in a little bit of the diary, but after I'd read it, I put the whole diary in. So in my book, Runs in the Blood, my autobiography, there is his whole diary is in there.
Why did she burn them?
Fascinating. I think a lot of people tended to do that when they came home. They wanted to forget about it. They wanted things to go back to normal, and very difficult, I mean, for anyone to get back to normal.
I did a play about the women that went to Vietnam.
I saw that. You were great in
And
that. With Deborah
no
Burke.
one can be normal.
I actually didn't go to Vietnam.
Okay.
We were offered to go to Vietnam. This is why I do so much for the Vietnam veterans now, because I'm able to
Denise
help
did.
them. Denise went. We were offered to go, but Wendy and Beverly were really afraid. We'd had a friend of ours killed over there, a young singer from Sydney.
I heard
Kathy.
about that. Yeah.
So that wasn't good. Margaret and I wanted to go, and I wanted to go because Norm was there. But we worked a lot to the Americans. They loved us.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, very, very short dresses singing, a white girl singing black soul music. So we worked to a lot of the Americans, and Sangley and Subic naval bases, Clark air bases, and to the Americans in Germany, and a lot to the Americans on R&R in Hong Kong for a month.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of that anyway. But anyway, yeah.
So
And
that was the first. Is this the first album?
well, actually, I did one called A Pure Heart, which just had 4 tracks. Now, I have to tell you, when I had this photograph taken, I'm standing there.
You've had a few champagnes.
What happened? Well, I wished I had, but what happened was this lady came past me who I knew, rather a large lady with rather large, humongous boobas. And as she came past me, I was having the photo. I'll just hand that to you for a minute.
Thank you.
She came past me and she flashed me. And I went, ah! And that's the photo. So if you're interested in any of my recording, any of the new CDs, and especially the new book, which will be out in November, just go to marcie@marciejones.com and you'll find me, or www.marciejones.com.
We're going to have a champagne.
Yay!
I made that up.
Yay!
Haven't got any.
No, I know you haven't, but I'm a good actor.
Every time I'm reminiscing and I need tender kissing, why don't you call on me? When the nights get sad and lonely and I'm thinking of you only, why don't you call on me? Call on me. Call on me. So when the nights get sad and lonely and I'm thinking of you only, why don't you call on me? Call me, honey. thinking of me, baby, and you're thinking, should I maybe? Why don't you call on me? If you don't want to be alone, then come on in your mama's home. Why don't you call on